Wu-Sabat, Wu-Sabat. Kabul, welcome. Wu-Sabat, welcome. Kabul, welcome. And greetings to our YouTube family out there. Greetings to all of those who may be new, first time listening to us. Greetings. Bless you. And welcome. Okay, today is another discussion. Every Tuesday, we do these discussions, Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Unfortunately, today we're a little bit late. So more than likely, we're going to go over our time and to make up for time because we have a lot to cover, as usual. But we're going to get it done no matter what. We got a job to do. We're going to continue that work. So we thank all of you guys who support what we do. We always ask you guys to support us. Share the word. Always let people know. Spread the word. Thumbs up. And let people get access to this information, this transformative right knowledge. This is what we're here to do. And do not keep it to yourself. So, with all that being said, we shall get started. For those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu Re'e, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Pandabab Yunanan, also known as Dr. Melaka Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture we identify as Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nuwau, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hu tree. In essence, our culture was about being in harmony with natural nature, living in harmony with natural nature. Unfortunately, we've gotten away from that over the last 500 some odd years, living under racism, white supremacy. And our job here is to re-educate our people about our culture that worked for us, and that we identified as noon culture or sun culture, or we say Wu-Sabat. Today, people I also identified as animism, and it just means that we acknowledge that existence was based on animated energy all things, animate or inanimate objects, are made of life force energy, and we acknowledge that. And this was the basis of our culture. And we were in tune with those things. And this is what we as students of Wu-Sabat are dedicated to re-educating our people about. If you want to have better lifestyles for ourselves, is for us to get back to our original culture. So I'm just one of many student teachers who have dedicated themselves to educating our people about this culture of Wu-Sabat. And so we do question and answer formats, right, to assist those in their journey for truth. This is what we do. And so if anyone who has any questions or concerns, we always say, do not hesitate to speak to us. Do not hesitate to speak to us. This is what we're here for. This is what our focus is. This is what we're about, And so that's very important. I also like to say my little disclaimer that I'm not above making mistakes, Any kind of mistakes that I made, do not hesitate to let me know, and I'll make corrections as needed. I do my best, but mistakes do happen. And so I hope that makes sense. Now, every week before we get started, we like to do our prayers. This is very important. Our culture is about spiritual development, and this is one of the reasons why we have our prayer systems, for the sole purpose of learning to make contact with our ancestors who exist on higher dimensional realms. And prayer, chanting, rituals, all of these things are about one's spiritual development, to do just that, to be able to make contact, right? So we do our prayers in English, and then we translate it in our language called Lahaj, means Sabaik. So we ask for you guys, if you follow in English, or if you know Sabaik, follow us in Sabaik, right? We do the same prayers every week. Let's get started. Baday Kalam Namazat Wu Fakor Amer Kasemun Shalapot Pa Sawab Wu Pa Tarak Panan Safa Kawun Pa Sawab Wu Pa Tarak Z Kawuna Nazula Laha Enkum Mané Sabat Wu Side Amer Hadayan Un Shafeun Mané Salafu Wu Nataru Ajula Yena Fasu Kum Afuk Shane Kawun Kuma Pa Sawab Wu Pa Tarak. This book is the truth and the way. It was sent down for you all from Sabat Wu-Sabat, star constellation, as a guidance and a healing. Return to your as a guidance and a healing from your ancestors and overseers. Return to your own. Accept what is yours, the truth and the way. And nun tawa ankum lehe panan shafe un wu alaj. And nun tawa ankum lehe nasui nun. Anun tawa ankum lehe ashuk. Ankum at the salafunun. Anun at the kharad okum. Anun talub nasar kuma. Anun talub nasar kuma. And so nun sayim nataru. And so nun salafunun. Anun at the munwapu. We thank you all for this healing and cure. We thank you all for not forgetting us. We thank you all for ashuk. You are our ancestors. We are your children. We seek your help. We seek your help. Help us, divine overseers. Help us, our ancestors. We are Musba'u. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amen. Jedna 4. Jedna 4. Jedna 4. Alrighty then. Let's see, every week before we get started, we always go over the core principles of Wu-Sabat. This is primary, right? Because our culture is based on these core principles. All of our lectures and discussions are based on these core principles. And we stress that you must learn and understand these core principles so that you can implement them into your actions and deeds. This is the process for transformation. This is the process where each individual learn how to develop themselves for the better. This is why we do what we do. This is why we do what we do. So it is imperative that everyone understand these core principles. We've done so many lectures and discussions based around them, and we make it our big business to always go over them so that it becomes second nature to us, that this is how we live, right? So principle number 1 is Ashak, right? Ashak stands for divine love. Divine love. All existence is based on divine love. Creation is based on divine love. When we did discussions on that, so definitely check that lecture out. Principle number 2 is resurrection. The goal is to become goddesses and gods by learning to open our third eye. This is one of our ultimate objectives, is the restoration of our third eye. This is how you transform yourselves back into deities. And so we did a discussion on that, so definitely check that out. Principle number 3 is the wisdom of Dahutri and Ma'at. Dahutri stands for your divine mind, and Ma'at stands for order. We did discussions on that, so check that out. Principle number 4 is relationships. As an African people, we always lived up for and by each other. In fact, we argue our sufferings due to the fact that we gave up our culture for foreign cultures, capitalism, communism, socialism, all their isms. They were never designed for us. So check that discussion now on the principles of relationships, right? Principle number 5 is morphic resonance / matrix. Stands for sound, color, vibration, frequencies, right? And matrices are the manifestations of those frequencies and vibrations. And that's what we're going to get into today. Principle number 6 is Leviathan. Stands for moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture. This is what we at war with, is Leviathan itself. We did a discussion on that, so definitely check that out. Principle number 7 is soul and spirit. Your soul is your emotional force. Your spirit is your life force. Definitely check those discussion out, those lectures out, or the lecture we did on it. Principle number 8 is health. Health, the first key to health is a positive mind. Sunlight, as melanated people, we need a lot of sunlight. Water, the body is 70% water. Fasting, we recommend at least fasting once or twice a week. Herbal diet, as Dr. Sabius taught us. Exercise, rhythmic breathing, meditation, concentration, prayer, and chanting. These are key. As we always say, health is not what you do physically, but it's also what you do spiritually. Health is not just what you do physically, but it's also what we do spiritually. It's the key to health. So check out the lectures we've done on that. Principle number 9 is Pa'ut, which stands for the creative force. We say Pa'ut. And Pa'ut is based on the SMAT circle. It stands for cycles of nature. Everything in existence is based on perpetual cycles. And the creation energy, we call it Achach. And that stands for the creation energy. And we did a discussion on that, so check that out. Now, as students of Wu-Sabat, we have 3 primary goals. Goal number 1 is to raise the self. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. And goal number 3 is to work to build Sabbatia. And goal number 1 in raising the self, you must first become born again, as the Christians like to say. And that's by giving up the culture, the foreign cultures we've learned, and renew yourself with our ancient culture, right? So that's the first step. And in doing that, one of your first objectives is to correct our names, to take on names of our ancestors, our Sabaean names. Goal number 2, or the next objective in that, is correcting our dress, right? How we look, learning to speak our language, Lahaj, Sabaic. That's important. You must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skills. This is by studying the doctrine. This is what's going to help individuals make better decisions, right? The goal is making sound right reasoning decisions. And you must practice and master our daily rituals to turn yourself inside out. This is how you open your third eye, by consistently doing the rituals each and every day. And you must always be positive. If you ever want to achieve worthwhile goals, you must always be positive. We can't stress that enough. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan, which includes working to free Panda-Babyanana, promoting Wu-Sabat, and become a student teacher, and fight the 6 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which are our ignorance, our fears, our egos, our angers, our lust/desires, and lies/deception. This is how you overcome Leviathan. And 3, work to build Sabbatia. We work to support each other in business. We help each other reach positive goals. We help to build our culture. And we must set up a landing zone for Panatharu in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. So that's key. We have to get our land back, guys, so that we can set up our societies that are designed to work for us. And Ashuk is the key to accomplish all of our goals. Now, what does it mean to be a Sabian? Sabian is someone who is thoughtful and cares, someone who is helpful and honest, someone who is responsible and hardworking, someone who demands justice and honorable, someone who is righteous and humble, someone who is excited and cheerful, someone who is loving and peaceful, someone who is kind and considerate, and someone who is neat, clean, and orderly. Our purpose. Our purpose is liberation from adverse forces. This is what our whole goals are. So number 1, you must take action each and every day to free yourself of 6 ether spirits inside and out, which includes Black people who are possessed by these spirit forces. 2, acknowledge and fight 6 ether from promoting capitalism, the gay agenda, miscegenation, and so-called equality of the races, and racism, white supremacy. And 3, learn, live by, and promote the laws/rules of natural nature, and each one teach one. Word of advice: do not judge this doctrine by watching the behavior of Panabab Yanana nor his students. Judge this doctrine by the effectiveness of the information, aka alphamation, that you personally put to practical use. This doctrine is based on self-authentication. Know that we are not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there's a meeting of the minds between teacher and student, who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. Quote, what you do for yourself in kind depends on what you think of yourself in kind. And what you think of yourself in kind depends on what you know of yourself in kind. And what you know of yourself in kind depends on what you was taught and by whom of yourself in kind. Quote, until the lions have their historians, the hunter will always be the hero. And last, the negative mind talks of what it can't and will not do for self and kind, always complaining about who they don't like or trust, whereas the positive mind always maintains the peace by not complaining about that in which they do not like, but focus on finding solutions to their problems, never allowing obstacles to get in our way of growth. Alrighty then, with all that being said, and today's discussion it's about vibrational frequencies. Now, this discussion is based on an actual facts that the master teacher had put out, actual facts number 18. So this is one of our publications for those who do not know, and it's titled Tone, Sound, DNA, Molecules, Vibrational Frequencies. So this whole pamphlet or book is based on this particular subject matter, and we're going to go through this book just like we did last week. In fact, last week's discussion that we did on emotion and emotional energy, in fact, that was actual facts number 17. This is actual facts 18. I see them as a companion. I highly recommend to study those two, this last week's as well as this week's discussions, because they go in harmony with each other, dealing with understanding emotional energies, understanding the what we call nutational rates, different planes of existence, the different vibratory levels of existence. And today we're going to get into the science of vibrations. Okay, and so when you in combining last week's discussion with this week's discussion, this will definitely help elevate one's perception when it comes to understanding existence and reality. So that's I can't stress that enough, guys. So let's get started here. Let's see. All right. So now paragraph 1, sound. Sound relates to you and what you receive from space and beyond. Now think about that. Sound relates to you and what you receive from space and beyond. Sound and its relation to solids, liquids, and matter, such as structures of stone, liquid gold, and your brain. As you built Pa-Merat, which is the pyramids, and their electromagnetic effect and how they relate to the stars or gateways by resonance and sonic abilities of those structures and your own genes and physical structure. It all relates to the notes and forms of F sharp chord, which we Tamarians recorded as the harmonic of this planet, Patanun or Fanun, we say, and the chamber of Khufu's mirror. In there are the frequencies that range from 19 hertz down to a half hertz, that being below the range of a mortal's hearing. So this is Khufu's mirror, or the pharaoh Khufu. This is what they named this pyramid after that particular ruler. And within this pyramid, and with the chamber of Khufu, there's a what they call a coffin. Okay, and the pyramid itself, it has a certain resonant frequency or tone or vibration that it emits. It was specifically designed for that, so that's extremely important to understand. So let's keep going. Then it goes on to say these vibrations are caused by the wind blowing across the ends of the air shafts, just as blowing over a bottle. So you have tone, sound, vibration, color as matter. So you have solid, gas, liquid, incarnation, and manifestations of all things, right? All things come from these tones, sound, vibrations, and colors. This is what produces matter. It all relates to F sharp, guys, which is the resonant chord of the planet Earth. That's important to know. Just as everything else in this universe vibrates, and these vibrations produce waves. At certain levels, the human ear can sense these waves or vibrations and call them sound. Now, human beings have learned to develop the ability to use these vibrations of sound to make music of all kinds, constructive and destructive tones. And this reflects in the use of tones in the form of all names or vibrational reactions to certain sounds, which can become labeled and link them to all kinds of forces that vibrate on those same tones or names, guys. So everything is connected through sounds, tones, and vibrations. That's very key. If you use a Hebrew name, it's only a tone and a vibration. Every time you're called, that tone vibrates inside of you and links you to every other being with that same tone who vibrates on that same level, be they dead or alive. And that's key, right? So whoever has those names, so, we talk about ghost spirit forces. We've talked about this before, and these are living entities, but they're in a ghost form, and they have those names. So, for instance, every time someone calls your name, if your name was Bill, right, and you're in a crowded room, and everyone, and it was like 5 people named Bill, and they yell on a loudspeaker, "Bill, Bill, where are you?" Everyone with that name would respond. Everyone with that name would respond. But also, everyone with the name Bill, who are also a ghost spirit force, would respond to the same tone, because names are tones. So this is one of the challenges we teach about making sure you have correct names that connect you to your ancestors, as opposed to negative energies. Because how often is your name called throughout your life? So each time your name is called, it gives those lower forces an opportunity to connect to you, to possess you. Guys, keep that in mind. We always teach, correct your names. Let's keep going. So he says, if you use a Hebrew name, it's only a tone and a vibration. Every time you're called, that tone vibrates inside of you and links you to every other being with that same tone who vibrates on that same level, be they dead or alive, right? Like I just said, alive would be the sound of your same name. Yet the dead are always listening to take over the living's bodies. And by having a name, tone, vibration, frequency of their religious tones, you open your being up to any and all kinds of forces, ghosts, spirits, ghouls, specter, that respond to that tone you live under. So even music opens the gates or abodes to lower realms by making waves at different pitches and volumes. These music notes reveal to you the invisible vibrations of the world and universe, upper and lower, all around you. Just because you can't hear or see them does not mean they can't use you. It's the range of waves, vibrations. These intro sounds and ultrasounds waves appear. They are not there, they are. So when you use F sharp on an instrument or voice, there is a reaction. You must understand sharps and understand flats and then major tones, because there are many F sharps at the different pitches that you cannot hear. Some animals are open to tones you cannot hear. You are not like dogs who are used by lower forces to get into your lives, homes, children, and then your emotions, guys. Dogs are used by these adverse spirit forces. This is one of the reasons why we always teach you shouldn't have dogs at least living inside your house with you. And so, because spirits will enter the dog, and as they're entering the dog, the spirits now are trying to tap into your frequency to possess you. Keep that in mind. Many people also live. You can't hear. Let's see this. You can't hear them, but dogs can. Right? They can hear tones, but we can't. Do not have dogs except for death rights. To know these spirit forces are there to try and take your dead soul. So dogs can be utilized for perceiving the dead. Now, many people also live under tones, names, religions that link them to the dead and can be passed by gene from marriage, or passed on by genes from marriage or blood transfusion. Things like drinking too much ether, alcohol, drugs, and even music can open you up. So the very stones have tones, such as limestone, you have granite, and of course jewels. Each have a paramagnetic vibration, as does the neb-unk, or the coffer, or what they call a sarcophagus, in the chamber of Khufu's mirror. So we're talking about the pyramid. There's a sarcophagus in that pyramid. The whole chamber itself is attuned to the frequency of the whole mirror, and its vibration is below those of a human ear, which is 19 hertz and less. Guys, and you know what? If I brought up this Khufu's mirror, I was looking at a video that talked about it. If I can see it here, right here, Khufu's
my name
hold on,
is
commercial.
My story is true.
Commercial.
This is objects often leaving.
Okay, so this is the pyramid, right? This is the actual coffin. Now it's all beat up. I don't know what happened to it, but in fact, what's interesting about this video is talk about they were trying to figure out how in the world they even got this coffin inside there. It's a mystery because of the simple fact of the passageway into this chamber. It's very narrow, and it's so narrow you cannot fit that coffin through there. So they're trying to figure out how in the world they do this. How in the world they do it? But point being is that this particular coffin is attuned to the certain tone or frequency of this whole pyramid. So when you're looking at, the pyramid itself and everything in it is based on a certain resonancy. And what's interesting, they said that coffin is made of this stone called dorite, and they said dorite is the most hardest stones there is on the planet. This is one of the reasons why they're trying to figure out what science that we have, and to even shape these types of objects, because in today's tech science, they couldn't even do that till today until they had like diamond edge drills and things like that. So obviously we had some high science. Why? Because we understood sounds, tones, frequencies, and vibrations. We knew how to tap into these things. So that's why I'm bringing it up. But so let's go back to the pyramid emits a certain frequency, a tone, a vibration, right? Just like the planet. The planet emits the vibration of F sharp. That's a tone, okay? And you know what? Let me go back here because I have that. This video right here, this is based on the F tone. So listen to it to get familiar with this frequency, because the planet Earth is vibrating on this frequency, and we knew how to tap into the Earth. We knew how to communicate with the Earth by correcting our tones and our vibration, because our bodies are linked to the Earth. So let's listen to this. In fact, try to close your eyes and relax and listen to this tone, because this tone is very key to comprehending the frequencies that we should be focusing on and being able to tap into. So listen to, I'm gonna play it for about 2 minutes, right? And I want you to just relax and listen to this particular tone, take it in so that you can begin to experience the power of vibration and tone. This is one of the reasons why we do the prayers, we do the chanting, to correct your frequency, your vibration. And this is one of the tones you want to tap into. So check it out. Visualize you're connected to nature. Visualize you're connected to the earth. Put yourself there. Put your mind there. You can use this tone for your meditation, for your concentration exercises, for your spiritual development. This is why I wanted to introduce you guys to this particular tone and frequency, because of the connection it has to the planet. And this is our objective, to tap into this. So here, let's keep going. So it says, and these vibrational frequencies are of 4 base DNA molecules. The most frequent to appear as a tonic is F sharp. So the DNA, your DNA is in tune with this frequency of F sharp that we was just listening to. So the frequencies in base DNA are harmonically ordered and perfectly in line with the frequency of Ptah Noon of the planet Earth. So the frequency we just listened to, that F tone is connecting to our DNA. And so this is a breakdown on the structures, right? Gas, solid, liquids, that breaks down to the man, the woman, the child. And these are the 3 basic tones. You have F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp. The A tone is the human body, vibrates on the A tone. And when you get yourself vibrating on an A tone, then you can connect to the other frequencies like the F or the C. So let's keep that in mind. So in fact, all frequencies turn out to be particularly related and can be pleasing or painful, can make you sick or heal you, give life, cause death, build or destroy. The number 8 as in octaves. We ancient ones knew the correlation between harmonics, stones, the planet Earth, and electromagnetism, unison or agreeing tones on the same pitch to become one. Now, the mathematics or the math matrix of frequency occurring in the planet Earth and others cycles are in tune. Also at a basic level, your physical body understands this. And in the right state of mind or trance state opens up the mental abode. This is how you tap into the higher realms. Okay. Patenum or the Mukasu want all to speak in their tones. That's key. They want us to speak on their tones. This is what disconnects us. Listen to how they speak, not from the solar plex, yet from the nose to affect your nosegay. The bunch of sweet smelling flowers, a symbol of what you breathe in and how smell affects your whole being. So they wish all to talk as they do. And this is nosology, or the science of disease. Or he is a nosologist, or nostalgia, house of sickness, by the nostril. Now stop and listen to how they speak. Listen to where the sound is vibrating from, their nose or snout and or mange. And if you look up leprosy, also known as Hansen's disease of leopards, and how it affects the nose and breathing. If you refer to the book of Leviticus chapter 13 in their Bible, how leprosy affects the skin tone, the hair textures. So it talks about how the skin becomes white because of this disease, and the hair becomes blonde because of this disease. It's in the book of Leviticus for those who do not know. Chapter 13 and chapter 14 addresses this. Or transforms one from a Nagaru to a Caucasoid. Also, leprosy affects the nervous system, the nerves, which affects the skin, rashes, impulses to motion between the brain and other parts of the body. Now, look at words Navi or Neve or Niveus, meaning birthmark or pigmentation of the skin, which is why they drink so much, smoke so much, and take all kinds of drugs to calm their nerves. What we did was build structures that utilize the electromagnetic and harmonic effect, which work in unison with each other and you. We built in symbolism, power, and grandeur, yet also universal harmonic and paramagnetic power, guys. And so we was in tune with these vibrations and tones, and living their culture disconnects us. So that's a very important thing, right? So check this out. They speak from the neck up. They speak from the neck up. Keep that in mind. Or or as the master teacher to explain, from the nose. Like if you guys listen to Pee Wee Herman and you listen to how he sounds, listen to his sound.
I've done all of them already. No, you haven't. See this phone here? Yes, I've called everyone I know. So call some people you don't know. What do you mean? Here, I'll show you.
So they speak in that high tone. We have a bass to our voice. You know, like I love this video here with Buju, but they won't let me play. Maybe I'll play a little bit. Listen to his tone, because they'll definitely knock the video out because they won't let us. But they'll probably let me play. I'm gonna play a snippet of it, but you can hear. In fact, check this video out and listen to the tones of these brothers, the sounds of their voice, and you hear that bass in their voice.
No play in a no bang around. How many will we go with tantrum? Alright then, no perfectly.
So that was just a little bit, you know. But if you was to listen to it, you hear the bass in our voice. We're speaking from the heart, from the diaphragm, from the solar plex upward through the body. Whereas the Mukasu is speaking from the nose. That's important to understand. We are able to produce tones that they cannot produce. And these tones is what connects us to nature. But because we're using in language, and a lot of us are speaking in high-pitched sounds nowadays, we don't have these bass voices as these brothers. We're losing our bass, our tones, you know, as they would say back in the day, the voice of God. We're losing that and all. And that's the problem, like this brother. So when you listen to our tones, there's bass. There's bass in our sounds. This is key. It's very key that we have that no other have this on the planet. So let's go back. So it says what we did was build structures that utilize the electromagnetic and harmonic effect, which work in unison with each other and you. We built in symbolism, power, and grandeur, yet also universal harmonic and paramagnetic power. It's mortals' imperfections that blocks them from being open to true and full mental powers. Once they are transformed, they will once again use both sides of their brain in perfect balance and be at one with Pa-Put again and the universe. And its field of resonant or harmonic frequency of this universe is F sharp, or 1.655 by 1043 hertz, the key resonant. Once the full use of the brain and the barotheric gland is restored, there will be the interaction under the influence of F sharp, actually allowing a transference of energy, sound, tone, vibration, and colors, images, and voices beyond this realm. Note, in their Moses or Jesus or Mohammedism, when they chant, all being Caucasoids or sub-races of them, as is the Southeast Indians, who influenced the Muslim chanting. They even call the system Runa, or chanting through the nasal passage to vibrate in the nose or nasalized sounds. All the religions chanting of Jews and Christians and Muslims are in those tones, a buzzing sound, because most of their noses are closed or blocked, right? So even the Hindus, because if you listen to the Hindus' tones, it's the same as the Caucasians. It's that high-pitched frequency. I have something on them. Hold on. This right here, this I guess is a musical artist. And now listen to him and look at the energy he's using. That green, that orange light, that's their spirit force energy. That 6 ether, the amber light. So he's singing in a very high pitch, a high tone. Anyone who listens to the Hindu music, you'll hear it. It's a high squeaky sound. That disconnects you. That's why we shouldn't be chanting or saying anything in their tones. It disconnects us from nature. Keep that in mind, guys. So let's go back. So this is a image of your third eye. Ours being open, theirs being closed, right? So it says not only like wireless frequency, but between individuals and from universe to universe. So we can communicate once we correct ourselves, our vibrations and tones, we'll be able to communicate even connecting throughout the multiverse, in essence, what the master teacher is saying, right? And it says this, and this energy is really here and coming as electromagnetic waves and particles or radio waves and or energy coming from every angle of the universe, from Pa-Ra'e, the sun, or Pa-Najumat, the stars, or Pa-Aha, the moon. So we taking energy throughout the solar system, or energy that's coming through into the solar system from different stars, from my own sun. These are frequencies, these are particles, these are vibrations. It's communication information, actually. that we're able to tap into once we correct our frequencies. Much of this energy is millions, if not billions of years old. They act in ways that you are only now beginning to learn in Wu-Sabat, such as what is dark matter and the neutrino and ether. From time and past, these constant interactions of energy particles or waves has plotted the course of existence and physical evolution. So it is said man's fate is controlled by the stars. Nagato receives tones and vibrations from the sun and of course the stars, which are suns, while the Mukasu and other non-Negroids only receive reflections from the moon, no direct light or vibration, only reflections, no sounds or tones. Why they have no rhythm or are not rhythmic, and again need to make you Africans with soul convert your dancing and singing to change to what they do, and the noise they call music, which is yelling or howling. Now look at Negroes moving and sounding as they do. It's his plan to steal their souls by giving them wealth to act like them or teach them. Now they want to mix that their 6,000-year moon cycle is ended. So just as radio waves carry information provided by the sender, also the waves transferring energy to you carry any and all kinds of information to information, which is you. You're receiving them at all times. It's just that you're on the wrong station or frequency and can't see or hear them speaking or incarnating for you. He's talking about our ancestors, guys. We have the ability to incarnate them, to see them, to communicate once we correct our frequency, our tones. So he says, like a radio or TV, it's off. We're off, right? Like a radio or TV, we're off. If you are not in tune with your own station or broadcasting signals that you are built to receive, born to receive from your own ancestors, that is, if you accept others' cultures and religious ways of life, if you carry their names, titles, accept their ancestral spirit forces called deities or gods or prophets or messiahs or Mahdis, and so on. When you speak in their tones, it's like the radio is not tuned on to your own station. So you only receive their spirit forces who will not help you in any way. Yet they will use you to fill. You must be in tune with your own bloodline, back to the ancients who vibrate as you on the same station, broadcasting to you for you. Why you see hands at the end of Atun Ore. Now this is an image in that's also in the hieroglyphics. You'll see this. Akhenaten. They have this symbol where he's acknowledging the power of the sun and Nuwau-Sabat and our connection to the sun, and we can receive frequencies and information from the sun itself. Keep in mind, the sun is alive. The planets are alive. These are living beings, and we had the ability to communicate with these living beings. So that's key for us to know. Goes on. And of course, your own energy waves carry information into you as information that are part of thought and the universe and nature. These waves impart this Wu-Sabat information genetically and psychologically into you. You must become balanced, genetically linked to your own genes, not other races, but with your own resonant frequencies of your own Egyptian African ancestors linked to the universe and beyond. And then and only then will you be able to understand the information you are receiving. If not at a conscious level, what you eat, wear as color, things you alter on your body, who you exchange body fluids with or kiss or sweat with, sing with or along with, all these can move the dial. And like the dial on a radio or channel on TV, the slightest shift and you get white noise off your own station. So you can't hear nor see the Etherians or the Mu'ahu, we say. So guys, we have the ability to communicate with our ancestors. We're just not able to do it because, again, all of the things that we do culturally, it disconnects us. That's the bottom line. So the superconscious level is where you find Pahu, the oversoul. The seed of Wu-Sabat out in the very universe itself linked to nature here, and you have become a part of nature. The universal bank of Wu-Sabat that is alive and growing and expanding all the time in every conceivable dimension called mental. The whole system, the earth and its electromagnetic sphere, the universe, and its dynamic energy, and you all interplay in a harmony of operation proportions. The cyclic nature of the universe as a whole has, as already has been shown on numerous occasions, to affect all living species. All are in tune with some frequency, not all the same. Pa Tainum He, the Mukasu, right, are affected by 11 one-year cycles. You see Isfut, or disagreeable, it means chaos, upsurge in them and disharmony, always following closely the solar flares of the sun. This reflects some light to Pa'aha, the moon. It's linked to the electrical part of the humans of all races, to each its own, linked to their own nervous system, while each has their own music and movement linked to a network of nerves that sends signals to and from the brain. And it is the brain that is the cognitive functioning part of the body. It is the brain that accesses the conscious, the subconscious, and even goes on to create the unconscious. You become what you think you are and or believe you are. What you put in your body, why they advertise drink lots of etheric alcohol to untune you, or mixing your body fluids with anyone to untune you to your powers. That is not good if you think outside of your genes, guys. The great and noble central mirror, or the pyramid of Khafre, in Ptah Ma'ah-Re, or Tamare, which is another name for Egypt, is and was a massive communication device of ritualized, internally esoteric and spiritual affirmation to your information from Sahu and Sedeptu, or other worlds. So the pyramids were communication devices, as the master teacher makes clear. This is why one of the reasons why we built pyramids on our land that the disagreeable ones took from us. It's sad, but we use them as a communication tool. Now, by way of its shape in relation to quartz and sound waves created by Pamir. So it was the way the pyramid is shaped, guys, which allows it to have this. It's the shape of the pyramid that makes it a communication device. That's the key. It says here, quartz grows in a particular geometric pattern, as do all crystals. In this instance, though, quartz grows in the form of a triangle or pyramid with an angle of 51.43 degrees, the same as the outer walls of Pa Kabor, or what they call the Great Pyramid. So the Great Pyramid, guys, is structured like a crystal. This is important. Now, the inner lattice angle of a crystal is related to the basal angle. The basal angle is 1/2 of the angle of the tip of the crystal. The interlattice angle of quartz is 90 degrees minus the basal angle, which is 38 degrees. Therefore, the interlattice angle is 52 degrees. This is also the angle of the Cheops pyramid. So if you look at the structure of the pyramid, this is the angle of a crystal, guys. So our pyramids were designed specifically in these angles because they were designed to be a communication device. Keep this in mind. Okay, so you see the picture of the pyramid and you see the angle, and that's that 52-degree angle. Okay, it's a slope of the sides of the Great Pyramid. So it's designed that way on purpose. Okay, and this is an image of an actual crystal with that same slope, 52 degrees. Keep that in mind. You see these crystals? So we ancients, the Tamarians, match the angles of this great communicating crystal. This very angle is a natural angle that can be created with the use of a circle and a plumb line. Okay? This was the method we ancient architects of sacred geometric buildings used to square the circle. and it produced an almost 52-degree angle that worked beautifully on every level and is mathematically perfect, direct from nature to Orpanathato. These wondrous natural mathematical workings and them being real and physical. Any physical construction that would aid the quantum communication would have a magnificent mathematical pattern. Now it is time to have a look at the workings of this and the use of the quartz. Now, quartz crystal begins its existence deep within the planet Earth, guys, from hot vapors, what we call Anun or Nunet Wunun, the primordial liquids, the great vapor, a gaseous form of a substance as liquid or solid steam or mist, moisture in the air was created by Tafaf Natat and Shawa, the birth of ether, invisible moisture, vaporous gas, fog, or ether, the substance or fluid that fills space, time, and matter. In this is a quartz is born, guys. So the quartz, there's the crystals inside the earth, right? And these crystals are formed under specific conditions. This is what the master teacher is trying to say. Under blackness, that's the key. Under blackness, and where there's blackness, there's ether. Where there's blackness, there's ether. Where there's blackness, there's ether. This is why vegetation grows out of the ground, and within the deep soil, the black soil, in the earth, comes life. Life comes out of blackness, and the same thing with crystals. No different. So that's important to know. All right, so now from hot vapor, which is a supersaturated solution of silicon dioxide, as it cools, a unit cell of quartz forms or is born around a nucleating site or nut seed in the same way that an oyster forms. And you see that its seed or pearl is born as a lustrous jewel of many colors, as well as the shells inside, also of many colors, as the mist of the rainbow is born or formed. So also is the oyster a form of crystallic colors and form. It is a matrix created around a seed point or nut or gap. The forming atoms and or cells and bonding are laid down where there is the most energy. Now the molecules adhering to the base silicon matrix, there is another in the human body that is not found in outer space. It is all made of the same elements, atoms or cells. All is in and a part of Papa, the all, expanding and contracting or breathing inward and outward, the breath of life, of existence. The whole of the universe is born out of dark space matter, or we call triple darkness, guys, made up of a tetrahedron-shaped molecule. It is now composed of 4 atoms of oxygen and 1 silicon atom suspended within. So this is a picture of the tetrahedron molecule. Okay, it's shaped, as a tetrahedron, the molecule. This primary cell unit now attracts other silicon dioxide molecules, and in time, trillions of these cells link together in a spiraling motion, layer upon layer, until the crystal is made. So this is how these crystal molecules are designed, and they're in a tetrahedron format. And this is this is a structure of how life is generated, how creation generates based on these same principles, guys. Now, crystal is also known as a quantum converter, guys. This is important. The crystal is also known as a quantum converter that is able to transmit energy in a magnifying state. And this energy can be easily be absorbed or received by biological matter, such as the physical body. Guys, our physical bodies have the power to take in information from the crystal. So the crystal is formed by way of a spiraling motion. It is also a known quantum converter, transmitting energy or information and information or intellect and intellect at a magnified state. So the crystal acts like a magnifier, amplifier, like a radio, Now, when you bring all light to a complete standstill inside a crystal, it can be used to store information and information as a quantum computer. Quartz crystal is similar to that. It is made of a lattice work of silicon and oxygen atoms which surround a relative open space. It is in this open space that can be compressed or squeezed and expanded with certain stimuli. This same stimulus also make the crystal vibrate or sing or chant. These vibrations make waves with human receptors pick up and convert back to binary information. So in fact, vibratory information can be stored, as can the light that came to a standstill inside the empty space. So you can put information in a crystal, guys. That's what the master teacher is explaining. These crystals do much more, though. They also amplify the energy the way a dome shape magnifies sound. By moving them, applying pressure or other stimuli, such as any form of contact or touching, these crystals can be forced to offer up their affirmation energy, that of the holographic universe, to which I have shown all things are connected, including the wave particles within the crystal. Now, anyone who watched the Superman movie, this is how Superman was able to build the fortress, what they call the Fortress of Solitude, using crystals, because the technology was stored in the crystal, guys. So you have to watch that movie, and you can see that in the Superman movie. Okay, it says now these quartz chips can be programmed by the mind alone, so you can mentally program a crystal. As in fact, thoughts are simple energy waves in themselves. If these crystals would read the mind of mortals as they can, then you can reverse this and read crystals with the mind. You hear that? You have the ability to read a crystal with your mind. So information that's stored in the crystal, you can pick up that information in crystals using the mind. That's important. You see, when the thalamus gland is stimulated, the subconscious mind seems to yield more information. And according to many psychics or adepts of higher learning, it is with the aid of the crystal, or indeed the magnifying effect of the pyramid, which makes it possible for the energy information to be picked up by the mind radio in the head. So you see that? This now you know why we was building these pyramids, because what it does, it acts like a magnifier for consciousness. And so as a magnifier for consciousness, it allowed us to communicate at long distances. This is how we was able to make contact with our ancestors who lived in Sahu star constellation or Septu star constellation. That's why the pyramids were in line with those star constellations, guys, because they were a communication device like a cell phone. The pyramids had an effect of contact with other worlds, what I just said. So you see this diagram, you have the thalamus gland within us, you have the pituitary gland, and you have the hypothalamus gland. These glands is what once you stimulate and develop them, this is what gives us our mental or spiritual abilities. Just by sitting quietly inside a pyramid as a crystal, creating a balanced effect, and the electromagnetic field created by the pyramid shape linked to gold capstone at the right time and at the base angle of the Great Pyramid, it is degrees, a triangular structure of the quartz crystal. We are always receiving sounds from outer space. So guys, the pyramids are designed like a crystal that allows you to receive information, or what we call affirmation, to become information. And so beyond time, from beings that exist out of the body, locked by time. So you can communicate with beings who exist within different time densities or frames. Those of your own genes are speaking to you from the other realms. You just have to learn how to tune in on their same frequency. Y'all hear that? I repeat that again. Those of your own genes are speaking to you from the other realms. You just have to learn how to tune in on their same frequency. We showed that last week in our, when we showed that Mukaso female who was able to tap into the plane of force. I was saying, and she was speaking of different spirit forces. We all have those abilities once one stimulates themselves spiritually enough. Once you do that, okay, once you do that, you can hear them and feel them and even touch them or visit them, or they visit you. This is the abilities we have, guys. Yet you must be aware of the pretenders of Isfut. These are disagreeable forces or lower frequencies who come into your body or take on ghost forms to deceive you. They can appear as angelic forms according to how your mind sees Jesus or a gray or ghosts or ghouls or demons or dead friends and even relatives. They get to shape a form by what is already in your subconscious mind. These are the lower forces that will try to deceive you guys. So keep that in mind. You give them form as by what you wish them to look like and who you wish them to be. Many people have been fooled into thinking they are prophets, or others saying they were visited by angels or Mary or Jesus or others, while even others claim they were visited by the devil or demons. The dead will play games with the seeker who does not know how to protect themselves from these lower forces or these lower beings, whose only wish is to incarnate for the moment to feel life on this realm against or use a person's body for whatever. Guys, keep that in mind. How people get it's because of our desires. This is how these spirit forces are able to take advantage of us. It's our desires that they're able to do it. And when you're desiring like that, you're vibrating on a low vibration of frequency. That's the key. You have to let go. We have to learn to let go and just exist. Exist in the world. As we say, be in the world, but not of the world. Do not be a slave to the things of the world. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy the world. You can still enjoy the world, but do not be a slave to it. Do not be bound by it. That's the key. Paragraph 91. Some have sexual acts. Well, let's go back. Paragraph 90. Whose only wish. Now let's go back up. It's talking about in 89. We talk about these lower forces. The dead will play games with the seeker who does not know how to protect themselves from these lower beings, right? Whose only wish is to incarnate for the moment to feel life on this realm again, or use a person's body for whatever. Some have sexual acts with the living to birth from them demon children, or for the lower realms, or abodes who can ascend up to this realm at will, open gates for evil forces, or just disembodied spirits, ghosts, specters, ghouls. Be very careful when you play with the other realms. So keep this in mind, guys. You get possessed. Imagine you get possessed. Then you engage in a sex act. Now that spirit is a part of you, and you're having sex. And if a female, let's say you get pregnant in that sex, now that spirit that possessed you can now incarnate into that newborn child. And this is how you can give birth to demons. That's what that movie Rosemary's Baby was all about. Watch the movie Rosemary's Baby. This is how they bring demons into this realm. Because once the demon possesses somebody, and then they have sex, and then that person gets pregnant, now that spirit that was possessing that person can go into the child. I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand that. So, in fact, life is nothing more than waves, sound, light, or form of illusion. Nothing you touch is really solid All things are vibrating, and the speed by which things vibrate determine how dense a thing or being is. Right? So remember last week when we talked about how everything is based on atoms and the space within the atom. Okay? And that gives the illusion, it's the vibration of an object that gives the illusion of its solidity, but it's really just energy. Even things that are made of matter is just energy at certain frequencies and vibrations. We got to understand that. So I read again. Nothing you touch is really solid. All things are vibrating, and the speed by which things vibrate determine how dense a thing or being is. It's given atomic numbers to count the weight of the atoms. To bring about solids or liquid, gas, bone, or blood, or breath. All no more than sound and light waves, guys. And not by chance. To claim evolution happens by chance is to say your thoughts are not more than manifested by chance or manifestation of a brain, which is matter. It is merely a physical organ evolved through the ages. This is what the Mukaso teach. They're scientists saying that creation is by chance. That's ridiculous because it has such a structure, an order, a principle. Everything is set upon certain key principles of existence. That's not by chance. That's the actual system. That means there's an order to things, which means there's a inlaid consciousness within all existence. That's the point the master teacher is making here. He says, paragraph 47, however, since the brain and cells which compose it are made up of atoms and cells, how could the workings be by chance? Atoms have been arranged in a human brain in such a way as to perceive themselves. This is to create out of nothing, then learn that it created itself out of nothing as a process of thinking and planning, because you have, by way of the brain, the ability to learn more and more about the brain itself. If in fact it created itself by chance, at the very moment of its own creation, it would know all there is to know about itself. But this is not the case. That's why I'm always saying unintelligence cannot create intelligence. Scientists are out there talking about how the consciousness only came about through the development of the brain, but consciousness is one's intelligence. And so what we're saying is that the unintelligence, particles and cells come together unintelligently, and then somehow miraculously, once they come together, and then it creates intelligence. That's backwards, and that's ridiculous. But the Mukaso, they really believe this, and they call themselves scientists. We've talked about this numerous times before. Don't be tricked by that. Only mind can perceive subatomic structures as those of ether, and mind therefore must be outside the brain. Mind is a power created by higher beings and made a part of the human experience called mental. Now bear in mind, Nuwaubians, that the resonance of the planet Earth we call Patar Noon is the same 0 to 40 hertz spectrum of the human mind. Your same mind linked to the mental abode that is constantly emitting signals into the environment around. These signals are much more than just waves. They become also particles, that is matter. Just as you see stars in the night sky as little lights flickering billions of light years away. A light year is how far light can travel in 1 year, be it solar, which is 365, or lunar, which is 354. We're talking about days. As light travels at a speed of 186,274.5 feet per second, that makes 1 light year, around 6 trillion miles away from Earth. And the stars are billions of light years away. Many of these stars are no longer there. When you look up at the night, they are stars that have died. Yet, and still you can see the light. You now know this light to be wave matter particles, guys. So light is wave matter particles. Keep that in mind. Light is wave matter particles. Light moves in as a wave. It's of matter, and light is broken down into particles. That's what we're saying. You also know by seeing a light now that has died years ago, yet it is continued life of that star that you see. So even though the star is dead, you still see its essence. It still exists. That's why, guys, when you try to comprehend time, realize what happened yesterday is still happening, because what happened yesterday is made of light. We see in light, you only see because of light. Those are particles. Everything exists in light or energy. That's all light is energy. Everything we do is based on energy. And as you know, energy don't die. It just transforms from one state to another. So everything that happened yesterday was energy. It's still happening. That's why we're always moving. We're constantly in motion. That's what life is. Motion, guys. So let's go on. Where are we at? So let's see. You now know this light to be wave matter particle, we said, right? You also know by seeing a light now that has died years ago, yet it is continued life of that star that you see. We said that. Now, you yourself as part of the laws of chaos and order, which is Ma'at, are no different from those stars. You are made up of the exact same atoms and cells, elements of light or life and energy. You are putting out signals which will continue as wave matter of particles even after you have died. Each have their own zero-time reference of existence unique to each one, as each human has their own zero-time reference. Once a sound is made, it never really dies, only changes volume or vibration or tone. That's what I was just saying, right? That we are energy, we're particles. So even if someone died yesterday is still happening. And if you have the ability to raise your vibration, you can transcend different time zones. Anyone who studies the whole UFO phenomenon with ETs, they talk about ETs all the time, are able to go in and out of different time zones. They can go 100 years ago because those energy particles of 100 years ago are still within space. You just have to know how to get to that vibration and frequency. People who talk about astral projection, they also have incidents of time traveling in the past or the future. These are real abilities. Once one restores their consciousness, these are things we have access to. It goes on to say, all of creation of life is life waves that pass down in vibration to the Chaminu. Those are our ancestors called the Chaminu. They stand for underwater beings or underwater or soundless. To Subdeptu, that come onto land. This is how we grew within nature over different cycles. We went from the Chamunu to the Subdeptu. Now, to begin, it goes back about 9 billion years to another abode called Subdeptat, or the Sirius star system. It had 3 major suns, Sirius A, Sirius B, and Sirius C. On the last, which is Sirius C, that abode, the beings had reached such heights that they did not need their vast technologies. Most of those beings were past the need of rebirth, and others of them were already transformed into Etherians, moved on to the mental abode of existence. You're talking about our ancestors in other realms, guys. 9 billion years ago, he said. He's talking about. He says the necessity of a physical form or body on any vibrational level was below their needs. No need of the physical instrument to play the tone or sound of their music. Body was obsolete. Because of the ability of the state inhabitants to participate, their needs from ether or ahu. So they transform themselves into higher beings. Some of these beings he's talking about. He says after 9,000 more years, except for those beings of that abode who lagged too far behind to attain transformation, the many Etherians from that star system, Cyrus C, of Subdeptat, advanced in one moment with all the higher beings of all the other abodes, being one with the universe, on to the fourth abode of existence, he said. Says those lagging beings who had to remain behind were deprived of every iota of higher levels of becoming Natharu because of their attachment to the physical things of their world, just as those here on Patar Noon, the planet Earth, will also be left behind because of their physical attachments to their bodies or lusts and material things, greed, food, pleasures, you name it, guys. It bounds us. Others who rise, fell, and were returned to lower levels, trapped and lost in worlds unknown to their inner being, and are hosts to be held in abeyance to the world they are in now, and can be used and abused emotionally by lower forces of etheric abodes. Looked over by Pa Chebetu of the fourth to the third abodes, spiritual and mental abodes. Some have access to the fifth abode, who had originally took part in the creation of lower abodes down to the first abode. Now keep this in mind, guys. When he's talking about all these different abodes and realms, always remember the SMAT circle. Always keep this in mind as you're moving from different realms, 4 ether realms, 5 ether realms. These are the different realms and densities these beings are operating from. He's talking about. He goes on to say, and can come down to this physical abode and transform beings to higher levels, right? You have beings from higher abodes that come down here and help beings on this level to elevate. That's what he's saying. Others are lost and in time will dissolve, as did Cyrus C, which collapsed into nothingness. And the lower beings there were sent to other planets like here. Their Natharu moved up to the fourth and fifth celestial abodes, and they disintegrated the Cyrus C star system, about which many planets had revolved, leaving Cyrus B and Cyrus A. Many of the higher beings from them came here to Patar Noon, the planet Earth, or the blue planet, or water planet. Others went upward to Sahu, star system. The same was done before throughout the universe, so that all the stars and their attendant planets cease to exist. Time, because it is a function of matter on the physical abode, came to an end while others were being born. Again, all things vibrate, each on its own level. Each color vibrates. Each form of matter vibrates, atoms and cells. All is sound and music. There is good for you sounds or music, and there is bad for you sounds, tones, and or music. Even the sound of a person's voice can upset you. Your given name or title is a tone or sound of music that is vibrating. It becomes you or you become it, and links you to that vibration and all the forces or beings that are on that same tone, sound, name, be they good or evil. This is why speaking your own language, Nuwaupic or Sabaic, we say, guys, is so important to your being. The names or attributes you call on as deity to come and affect your well-being. Guys, we said that earlier about your names. The names are key. The tones you use are key. The language we speak is key. All of these things are bounding us to this realm, this dimension, this frequency. It's locking us here. It's locking us here. I can't stress this enough. You got to ask the question, why we don't have 1,000 people listening to this? Why we don't have 100,000 people listening to this? I tell you why. Because they're locked in those frequencies. They're locked in the death zone. So they don't understand that everything our people are doing right now on this planet is bounding them to the planet. And you have the ability to transcend to all different types of realms. We're cutting ourselves off from experiencing all these different abodes. You see the smack circle here? These realms are all within us. We have access to all of it, not just this one realm. Why are we stuck to this one dimension when we have access to many dimensions, many realms? I met a guy who he said every time he went to sleep, he was able to go out of body and travel to different planets. Imagine that. Every time you go to sleep, you're able to go out of body and travel to different planets. And here's the kick. He'll be there the whole night. And when it's time for his body to wake up on Earth, his spirit comes back into the body, right? And he goes about his day. But while he's out of body traveling to other planets, his body is still in a rest state. He still gets a full freaking night of sleep. So it's like you're having a dual life. You're living here on Earth, and then you're able to live in the other realms at the same time and simultaneously. That's what the master teacher is able to do. This is what we're trying to teach. We have those abilities, guys. I read again. Your given name or title is a tone or sound of music that is vibrating. It becomes you or you become it and links you to that vibration and all the forces, beings that are on that same tone, sound, name, be they good or evil. This is why speaking your own language, Nuwaubic or Sabac, is so important to your being. The names or attributes you call on as a deity to come and affect your well-being. Now, each race is a genetic code or vibration. You cannot be other than what and who you are, only in actions, not in true energy levels. So to pretend to be a Mongoloid or any of its sub-races will not work for your being, or Dravidian, or any of the Indian sub-races, or Caucasian, or any of their sub-races will not vibrate for you, nor their system of beliefs, religions, cultures, way of life work for or help you in any way, guys. That's why we teach. It's not what you become, it's who you are. It's not what you become, because we become all kinds of things. We become Christians and Baptists and Muslims and Sikhs and pimps and hoes and rappers and basketball players and football players. It's not what you became, it's what you are. You can't change what you are by blood and birth and genetics. But the ignorance that plagues out people's minds, we're like, unfortunately, walking zombies, don't realize what our potential is. So we're bound here. Remember, all this vibration, existence is multidimensional. Existence is boundless. Why would you want to be locked on a planet, stuck here, keep reincarnating? Let's keep going. Paragraph 128. The adverse forces of all others is not for you and will kill your energy. 6 ether beings are adverse to 9 ether beings, or you, Nagato. Guys, that's why we said this before in other discussions, how because these spirit forces in us, they're feeding on us. That's why we get so sick, because these lower forces feed off of us. So it says they ascend up into this material or physical world by tones, sounds, music, names, titles, and they're linked to sound. The Mukasu decide which music becomes hits. He will pay the Nagato to make sounds that will cut them off or make them kill. He will only allow in the sounds or tones which he can use against you. If you don't make what he wants or needs, he will, if he likes your look, take your tracks and reproduce them and add tones. This is what he does to the musicians out there, guys. He will choose one Nagato who hates self and kind to become companies and give them sub-labels, shoot videos or cinema that help his cause and destroy your minds and children. He loves gospel, hip-hop, but hate reggae or African music. So no Nagato movie star or rapper or producer is there because they're good. Not at all. He will only pay them big money if they further his plans of opening up the underworld and giving over Nagato souls to Shazumu, the carnivorous flesh eaters. Once on this abode, they move by emotions through existing beings open to them by emotions of many kinds. The way music makes you feel. And as you know, Nagato were the first humans created or incarnated or materialized on this abode. So they vibrate with natural nature, guys. So you have the Dravidian, you have the Native Americans. Everyone has their own morphic resonant vibration. This is why in this book right here, this is Actual Facts. Where we at? Page 18, right? And this is an excellent book. If you get a chance to get it. Actual Facts number 46. Intelligent Design, Divine Design, or Plot of Aliens. And so let's go back to page, what's that, 18. And he talks about here, it's going into cells, your genetics, your genes, right? Epigenetics, your genes grow in a soup of resonant fields created by Foucault thoughts and intentions. And for example, anything that touches your tongue is computed. You must know the term morphic resonance. That is self-organizing systems inherent in a memory from previous similar systems and things you taste. It becomes a part of your cassette, your genes, morphic resonance, tones, frequencies. You're able to morph and shift, change, alter. We have these abilities. Everything is based on vibrations, guys, tones, frequencies. So each race have their own morphic resonant frequency, their own genetic frequency. Ours is not like all of the others. But when you tap into them, it drains you. It how can I say, our soul force that we have, soul means sun. Soul means sun. It means that we're children of the sun. We're soul children because we come directly from the sun. Our soul force. So that's why we have soul and no one else has it, because they're not directly from the sun. None of the other races are directly from the sun. And so when we get possessed by their spirit forces, they feed off our soul force. Question, Gawada, does the planet react when we speak Nawapic? Yes, the planet will react when we speak, or we say Sebeg or Nawapic. You can tap into the resonancy of the planet. You can tap into the resonancy of the planet. It's key that we speak our Lahaj. It's key that we speak our Lahaj. It is key we speak our Lahaj. Our language, right? So it says these adverse forces, once in physical form, started the making of fake and false, artificial and synthetic things, crossbreeds, plants, and fruits without seeds, fake metals, plastic, and working on human robots. Many are natural materials, but put together to form unnatural vibrations. The same with music, tones, sounds, and persons. There are fake plastic, aluminum, copper, and many more, as they call them, man-made elements, grafted cells or breeds. The works of adverse forces on this abode. Many people do not vibrate with one another, so they must convert to their vibration. So they must convert the others to their vibration. This is what the Caucasian did to everybody. He forced everyone on his vibration. He forced everyone on his frequency. He invaded the planet and was forcing people to their culture. They either said, here's the gun or the Bible. Which one do you want? Here's the gun or the Bible. Which one do you want? And that's how they got everybody on their tones. So no matter where you go, everybody's in suit and tie. Everyone on the planet, people on around with suit and tie, looking like Caucasians. This is the science behind. There's a science in that, guys. That's why culture is key. Culture connects you to your tones. Culture connects you to your vibration. Culture connects you to your frequency. Why do you think he went after us? The Sabaean nation. They went after us. Why? Because we was establishing a culture here. That makes you enemy number one of the Mukasu. It only worked. Why did it work? Because we turn on each other. It only worked. Why did it work? Because we turn on each other. It only worked. Why did it work? Because we turn on each other. Why? Because we're bounded to their frequency still, guys. Why do you think we run to the slave master? Oh, the slave master, so and so did this to me, so and so did that to me. We keep calling them. Why they keep killing you, guys? Why? That's what's so crazy about us. We keep calling the Mukasu when something goes wrong, and all he does is kill you, you know. It was just in the news. Another one, they just killed another brother that they got away with it. Where is it at? Let's see if I can find it. Right here in Atlanta, where I'm at. Here, this right here. Charges dropped against Atlanta police officers. Ray Shard Brooks shooting death. They just dropped the charges. They shot the brother in the back. They shot him in the back.
Some breaking news.
They shot him
in just the last few minutes out of
They
Atlanta.
shot him.
A special prosecutor there announcing there will be no charges against the police officers involved in the death of Rayshard Brooks in 2020. He was shot and killed outside of Wendy's in June of that year. Investigators said he resisted when officers tried to arrest him on a DUI charge. You might remember that his death came less than 3 weeks after the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, sparking demonstrations in Atlanta and beyond at a moment of
the mayor saying he respects this independent.
They shot him. He started to run. He beat up the two cops, and then he started to run. They shot him down. He started to run. Guys, why we keep calling their police for whatever goes wrong with us? When are we going to police ourselves? When are we going to protect ourselves? What are we going to do for ourselves? Wake up. That's the spell. You keep calling on the same system that kills you. How does that make any sense? They killed this brother. Do they get charged for killing you? No. They let him off. They let the murderers off. That's how it works. Many people do not vibrate with one another. So they must convert you they must convert the others to their vibration. That's what the Mukasu does. He converts you to his vibration. It's called love me. Change all you think and think and feel as I do. This is the making of a synthetic being or person. This mostly happens to females who submit all they can be once they fall in what they call love with a man. Once they lay together, and find a sexual rhythm and think that they rhyme, their own vibration is blended into another, guys. That's another thing with the female and the male. You guys, that's why we always taught, once you have a sexual partner, that becomes your mate perpetually. Once you have a sexual partner, that becomes your mate continuously. You don't go around gone from one female to one female to one female. I warn you guys, brothers are doing this. I warn y'all for doing that. You're gonna bound yourself. You females who do that, y'all bound yourselves. Y'all better cut that out. Yeah, Apex. That's why it's called trap music. You got that right. Yeah, knowledge seeker. A lot of people are trapped. They're bounded to the tones, the frequencies. They're locked in that. They're possessed by it, by these tones. And they're possessed by these spirit forces that keeping them locked, addicted to it. So, guys, once you lay together and find a sexual rhythm and think that their rhyme, their own vibration is blended into another's, that's what happens when you have sex with an individual. You're locking in frequencies, guys. Many times not knowing that each person you stand before is not one being or person, but in fact 30 in all. They are what their parents are, their grandparents are, their great-grandparents, and on for 4 generations of genetics were on the physical abode and became on the lower or higher abodes, as simple as a genetic kiss. Guys, everyone you connect with in an intimate way, you're connecting with all the spirit forces of their genes, all 4 generations of them, including the people they were with. This is the breakdown. So when you get with a female or you get with a male, you're connecting with their mother and their father, their grandparents, all the way down to 4 generations. That's 30 spirit forces that you're taking into you. And we wonder why we're so freaking crazy today. Because we're going around having sex with every Tom, Dick, and Harry there is. This is all we're doing. So it says, now think of it in the form of each has its own zodiac sign they were born under. So you are not the one zodiac sign you claim. You are all of these, guys. And depending on when you were born, you're connected to that zodiac, which is a star constellation, which is spirit forces that is coming from that star constellation, right? And you're linked to all of your ancestors and the energies that they're connected to. So also, the adverse forces know that sound waves affect the living being and can control their emotions. So they allow non-music to become music. You put down your own souls, your rhythms, and replace it with non-rhythms while you keep the rhymes. So in fact, you lose your soul, but keep your words, poems. That fact is adverse forces are at work replacing all real natural things and place with his fake false world in all things around you. Like, I love you. What does that really mean? And when you live in an environment surrounded by adverse forces of 6 ether forces, of 6 ether beings or other races other than kind, you are slowly transformed into their vibrations, and you begin to blend in and become one of them and lose your natural nature and connection with your own heavenly help. That's why we're cut off from our ancestors, because we're off tone, we're off frequency, because we're literally locked into everyone else's tones. These are the facts, family. Eating their fake foods, dressing in their fake fabrics, listening to their fake music, trying to talk and sound like their fake sounds and voices, their fake colors, fake metals, under their fake lights. You become out of your mind and in their mind. In time, you can no longer contact your own mental realm because you have become one with them and their world. Look at how the slave master has transformed his Negroes. Look at the change in our own children. Once the devil closed Tamaray, he's talking about our land now. He's talking about us, Sabaeans. Look at some of those who once claimed they understood who and what Pa-Nabab Yananin is. Aminubi Ra'akpata, who was really here to do. They have been transformed and transformed their consorts, their children, and those who listen to them. It's all about vibration. The vibration of this realm, the great event of your cycles, repeats every 26,000 years, which is called a precession, and every 24,000 years of 4 cycles, of 6,000 years in progression of the life waves. Guys, this is what we're going to deal with next week. We're going to deal with the cycles, the precession, the 24,000 year precession, the 26,000 year precession, right? Or the 24,000 year equinox and the 26,000 year precession. We're going to deal with that science next week. All was still and void on the physical bowl because it had ceased to exist. Yet once the higher bowls or celestial realms of existence, there was much activity, much training, and subsequent organization of Etherian beings as Hu'u or Cheminu or Sebdeptu or Ahu onto Ba'u and Ka'u onto Hatu or Bashuru, into groups with appointments by the most fittest to preside as regents. This was followed by further planning and coordinating of the great work of the future. When all was in readiness, creation began. First, Natharu created the stars as suns, and time began anew. Around each sun in the universe, Pa-Natharu placed Chabetu, host precipitated attendant over planets out of gaseous clouds, and upon myriad planets whirling in their orbits around countless suns, beings or non-ether beings, melanite children, Nuwaubians evolved. I, Pa-Nathar, Amanubi Re'akpata, who is with you today and was there when the word be was said, who watched as Amun Re'e, as Patatun created the suns and the planets, and is now the appointed regent of this 24,000 year cycle, the regent upon Natharu, and by myself, this time began anew as the renewer, the reformer. So around each star in this universe is appointed Pa-Chabetu as the new center being of the tones, Ah, I, and U, and An, In, and Un, which becomes vibration of creation. I have come into human form, personified, incarnated as a man of the hour. Upon this planet was elected regent by my own beings of Wunuwapu, those who created this planet. Each of the planets of this solar system had its own form of life as existence. As you know, where there is matter in any form, there is vibrations, which is a form of life. The physical forms, as you have come to know them, are in many places recognizable as human forms. However, he's talking about life on other planets because of the formula of life is the same throughout the omniverse. However, temperature and gravitational differences between the planets necessitate widely variant forms, chemistries, and muscular apportionments. Yet mortal, this is why aliens or ETs, they look different physically depending on the realm they come from, depending on the density of their planets, the vibrations and the frequencies of their realms will determine how they look physically. Yet their moral and intellectual aims are identical throughout the universe until it became ill with the evil beings of lower vibrational levels, and disease of all kind grew into being and consumed healthy beings. As the planet slowly cooled the surface rock crystallized into speaking landmass, tone, sound, voice of its own, and the beings that were grown with it, the Nagato, vibrate with nature. At last, all was cooled enough for the dense mantle of steam clouds to condense into rain and make oceans of the depressions in this earth's surface. One point in time, it was asked that Nuwau shine light through clear skies upon the land, and the sea and the stage was set for the Hu'u, the oversouls. And Pa Natharu to request Pa Hu'u to grow Himinu, Hu, to grow new life, first with one-cell plants and one-cell animals and sea creatures and fowls. From there, they consciously evolved into complex organisms. All the existing beings each vibrate on their own selected vibration and respected each other. Then Sachem Muat experimented with herself and with diverse plans of order to incorporate certain specific structures and metabolic processes into a self-perpetuating genetic pattern, which would eventually be developed by Patatun into a perfect newborn of 9 ether beings. It fell, but was passed on to Patanun. It was moved on to a continent to later be called Africa. The most promising human form was developed, to Fafnatat, to Nut, to Aset, and subsequently, by way of their mitochondria DNA, chosen to be endowed with mind and procreate, that great creative power of the fourth abode of existence. And then Shawa, to Sabab, to Asar, to Satukh, to Har, to you. Return to who and what you are, because that is what and who you really are. And the only thing you can ever be, you must vibrate on your own waves, tones, sounds, voices, music, names, tongue, as Nawapians, Ahnun, Ahtun, Atun, Amun. The great tone of the universe of F flat or Om turns from a circle into a square to reach you. And that's it, family. That was a lot. That was a lot, but I hope that this is very informative. We put out a lot of information. That's why I said, really take your time, study this, the vibrations, the tones, the frequencies. This is the key, guys. And emotional energy, morphic resonancies, the nutational rates. We did that last week, right? We read the actual facts. Emotional energy last week, and this week we did vibrations. Understand the 2 points we're making here. Understand the 2 points, the different realms, the different bows, and how to tap into it. And you have to correct your morphic resonant frequency, your vibration. You got to correct your vibration. Remember, your genes are able to alter. You can alter your genes by doing the rituals, by doing those vibrations, by doing those tones. This is why we do the prayers, the chants. It's all about correcting your vibration. It's all about correcting your frequency. You got to conquer your addictions. You must conquer your addictions. The number one addiction that every human have on this planet is our body. We're all attached to our bodies. That's why we can't move in and out of our spirit body, can't move in and out freely out of the physical body. We should all be able to do that. The reason why we can't, because we're attached to our physical body. And you're supposed to be able to move freely in and out of your physical body using your spirit body at will any time of the day. But we don't do it. We don't know how to do it. Why? Because of attachment. Because of attachment. We're afraid to leave. We're afraid to travel out of body. So you must understand these tones, these sounds, these vibrations, these frequencies, these lower forces are keeping us locked. It's keeping us bound. It's keeping us bounded and trapped here. That's the point. With all that being said, I hope this is, very edifying, very fruitful. I hope this grows. Guys, you got to spread the word. You got to spread the word. I know our people are locked in their vibration. I know they're locked in their tones. and it's very difficult for them to hear right knowledge. But do your best to get more listening ears. Make it your commitment to recruit one person. I always say this. Make it your commitment. Each one teach one. Get one individual in tune with you. You know, do it as a group to come and listen to these discussions and analyze the discussions. Take your time each week. How can we make the things we're talking about and teaching a reality? This is how we're going to change the planet. This is how we're going to bring justice back to the planet. This is how we're going to bring righteousness back to the planet, where we are applying this information, this information. Let's put it to use. All you guys who are listening, or you guys who are going to listen to the recording of this, put it to use. If it's 200 people watching this, make it 400 people next week. Make it 600 people the following week. We have to get this to grow. Our people got to understand. We complain about we want justice all over the world. We want justice. We want justice. Well, this is the key. This is the solution. You got to correct your vibration. You got to understand these different lower forces that's bounding us here. We have to solve this problem. We have the ammunition now. We have the right knowledge. The master teacher did his job. Now it's time for us to do our part. All right. With that being said, we're going to do our 9 o'clock prayer. For those who are not familiar, we go through our prayer systems every week, and we should be doing this every day at 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m., right? And so for developing your vibration, your frequencies, it's about calibrating your mind to always talk to your ancestors on other abodes, right? To communicate with them. They are real. They are real. They're listening. They're always listening to you when you reach out to them. And so that's what these prayer systems are designed to do, to mentally connect us with them to the point where we can begin to learn how to physically communicate with them. So I'm going to read, as you guys know, for those who don't know, we read the prayers in our Lahaj, our language, Sabaic. We have the English translation for those who want to follow. Okay? Bade Kala Namasa Wufad Ko Aman Kasamun Shalal Port Pa Takyud Anuki Jawab Pa Ashuk Impa Port Wu Kala Ashuk Kumun Jawafnia Anuki Kasamun Impa Port Wu Pa Port Kumun Kasamun Imnia Anuki Wahu Ama Pa Port Wu Pa Port Kumun Wahu Ama Nia Naku Kador Naju Aman Kasamun Impa Port Wu Khabu Aman Muskasun Naku Kador Kawan Kalab Bafaf Naku Daya Jawab Pa Paot Aman Wase Aman Dayani Kumun Lake Baku Jawab Pa Paot Anuki Yabab Bi Nafasni Pa Paot Kawun Anuki Pa Paot Kador Naku Kador Pa Paot Amu Nakuk Amu Lahahum Manahnun Lahahum Manahnun Ahumata Karahum Ahumata Karakum, Ahumata Karanun, Ahumata Juafnia, Ahumata Nia Wu Anuki Hum, Yaye Ashuk, Warae, Asmua Jayenun, Yaye Notaru Afuknun, Anunata Mukra Ukum, Yaye Notaru Afuknun, 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 Yaye Notaru Nun, Anun, Atun, Atun. Amun. Namazo Wahu, Yaye Mufaku, Yayehu, Yayehu, Yaye Notaru, Yaye Soye, Yaye Notaru, Yaye Hika, Yaye Notaru, and kum at the Pa Mufaku, Yayehu, Yaye Notaru, and kum at the Pa Mufaku, Wu anun at the Mukra Ukum. Ankum at the Musanun, Yayehu, Yaye Notaru, Aro Muklasnum Atum Urae, Yayehu, Yaye Notaru, Namazo Atu, Aron Hu, Yaye Muktamu Afunun, Ankum Mane Yake Laduda Muslafunun, Wu Musa Unun, Mane Yake Sawuda Paba, Mane Yake Kawunu Ka'u, Mana Yaka Abda Achach, Mane yake kawuno basha wu damam. Ya ye nataru muktamu nun. Aro muftanun. Anhu kawun manza mane pa nataru. Aro anhu. Anhu kawun baba yananan. Aro anhu. Anhu kawun atum ra'e. Aro anhu. Anhu kawun haro. Namazo talu. Ya ye nataru muslafu nun. Afunu mane pa mujwa'u. Afunu mane gahaan. Ya ye nataru afudnun. Mane saya khayara. Afudnun afudniya. Afudnun afudniya. Ya ye nataru nun. Namazo rabu pa tahmui. Nakuk talub tahmui bi pa nataru. Mane pa la'en lawi tanenu. Kaleh ranu ani ata lahe pa nataru. Wu kaleh namazo atni ata lahe kaya iyatun laye pa nataru. Pasawa wu pa turuk. Panem masfa kawun. Pasawa wu pa turuk. Z kawuna nazula lahe enkum. Mane musfa wu ma'asa. Ame hadayan wu dama'un. Mane muslafukum. Wu nataru. Ajula yana fasukum. Afuk shine kawun kum. Pasawa wu pa turuk. Pa hadayan wu pa dama. Anun tawa ankum. Lahe panen dama wu shafe. Anun tawa ankum. Lahe te nasuinun. Anun tawa ankum. Lahe ashukuma. Ankum ata muslafunun. Anun ata mukra'ukum. Anun talub nasakuma. Anun talub nasakuma. And so nun kahen nataru. And so nun muslafunun. Anun ata muspatu. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Ya ye nataru nun. Ya ye mufta'u. Ya ye nataru. Ya ye atum re. Ya ye natar. Ya ye nun. Ya ye natar. Ya ye nun tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye ha. Ya ye natar. Ya ye ha tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye kak. Ya ye natar. Ya ye kak tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye amun. Ya ye natar. Ya ye amun tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye atum. Ya ye natar. Ya ye shishash. Ya ye natar. Ya ye tafaf natat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye sabab. Ya ye natar. Ya ye naktat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye arash tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye asar. Ya ye natar. Ya ye nababta hatat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye satach. Ya ye natar. Ya ye hara. Ya ye natar. Ya ye hatwi. Ya ye natar. Ya ye anaktat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye ahaharatwi. Ya ye natar. Ya ye nafartun. Ya ye natar. Ya ye mantu. Ya ye natar. Ya ye bati. Ya ye natar. Ya ye sachem tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye hata haratat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye baibes. Ya ye natar. Ya ye patata. Ya ye natar. Ya ye basastat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye imhatap. Ya ye natar. Ya ye hu. Ya ye natar. Ya ye matat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye mahat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye khafaf re. Ya ye natar. Ya ye miskinat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye hore tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye continue to you. Ya ye natar. Ya ye hika. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye mat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye horenen tat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye shai. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye sashat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye maftat. Ya ye natar tat. Ya ye sabak. Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Anap, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Khanum, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Khanas, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Patata Nun, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Soye, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Haktat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Amas, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Saratui, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Atun Re, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Dahutui, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Patata Warat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Sakar Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Ha, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Nehebka, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Sakar, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Ba'a, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Akar, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Imharatat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Wapawatat, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Hatap Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Meri Tat Sakar Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Soye Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Garat Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Chamem Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Manak Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Chamem, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Mahatwi, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Kabesin and Afaf, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Damata Afaf, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Meritat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Nasat, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Imdadad Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Nachapatat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Sakhatat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Anaktat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye the Dad, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Tum, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Wahoo, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Yesas, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Anach, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Afnuit, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Satat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Sachatwi, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Imad, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Nanah, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Imnuit, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Im Sataktui, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Mutal Tat, Ya Ye Nathar Tat, Ya Ye Rahashafaf, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Maratwi, Ya Ye Nathar, Ya Ye Amun Re'e, Ya Ye Nathar, Yehu Anun Ata Kalah Jawaf Pa'ut Nun Re'e Tun Re'e Tun Re'e Mun Re'e Jennifer. Okay. Alrighty then. Tawad family, Tawad. Thank you all you guys for taking the time out to listen to us. This work is important work. This is about our transformation. It's about our restoration back to justice. This is what we're all striving for, is to bring justice back to the planet. And we do this by liberating ourselves from adverse forces. This is what we all are committed to. This is what this is all about. So as I say again before I leave out, each one teach one. Each one teach one. Each one teach one.
Through Atlanta with love, career, herself,